Hello, beautiful friends. As always, it is so exciting to be here with you, especially because this is the lifetime when we are moving through a very, very accelerated ascension process. So I'm so glad that we embodied on this planet right now when things are exciting. And again, who would want to be here without ascension? So we are ascending. And we are ascending at a speed that I think was really unexpected, unprecedented. So we will speak about how this all came together. Giving these ascension updates, for me, it's every day through meditation with the divine self. When the divine self is activated, it is like a tower. Maybe you're like a cell tower, receiving constant signal from cosmos. And so, whether you are walking in nature, sitting down in meditation, when you find a moment of silence, that tower gives you visibility, visibility. And so visibility is important. When I first really experienced this incredible structure that is within us, it happened in 2020 for me. And when I was able to move through my own structure, it truly was like a tower, as if I was filled with different floors. And it started, of course, bottom up. And so, as I was going higher and higher and higher in my own structure, I arrived what I call the 11th floor. And on the 11th floor, it was complete visibility. And I was surprised to find my own self, my own divine self, at the level of illumination that we all share and we all have in this very moment. And it's almost like every mystic described it the same way. You meet yourself, but you meet the true self. And so when I met my true self, there was more surprises. And one surprise I really didn't have an explanation for is that the 11th floor of my own being was surrounded by glass. So you had full visibility in all directions, but you could see that there is the 12th dimension. And the 12th dimension was everything outside of the structure, but you could see it all from your own top floor. And so I thought, okay, this is just probably what my divine self wanted to use as some kind of metaphor. Until I started to find more and more and more mystics who lived here before us, including the great Buddha, who all for some reason said when you get to the top of your own self, you will find that between you and the oneness of all life is just a sheath of glass. And so then I thought, this is not some kind of metaphor. There is glass on the 11th floor of our own being, and we can see in all directions, but we are not yet fully and completely dissolved in it. Through many more, months and years of meditation after that, because that was in 2020, I also realized that if we did move through that glass, we would cease to exist as individualized consciousness. We would merge with all life. So, as long as we are in our structure, which includes our own multidimensional self, of course, then we are individualized. So, there is a very good reason for that top floor to still have that glass around it. So, last night we are in the Wesak energy, which is a festival of light celebrated by mystics all around the world, not just the Buddhists. It has always been celebrated by many esoteric groups. And I started to observe the Wesak festival through the work of Alice Bailey many years ago. And so paying attention to these festivals of light, not because they are some kind of celebration on the outside, but because they offer portals to consciousness within cosmos. And of course, these portals are just like spring. Spring happens when nature makes it happen. She aligns energies. And so today is that alignment. It has very little to do with our calendar or our belief system, but simply the energy of the Buddhas, the many Buddhas in this cosmos, is available to us. So last night I had an experience with the Buddha, a visitation from one of the Buddhas. And strangely enough, which again surprised me and really struck me again, we happened to be in that glass top floor, which was high above in cosmos, and everything was happening within, again, the confinement of the glass. So, kind of the glass floor. So, this morning I was searching, can that happen on Wesak Festival of Light, that you will meet the Buddha and that you will again have some kind of glass that you are looking through, just clear glass. And Lord behold, of course, if you go to even the website with Alice Bailey and these celebrations on the Wesak Festival, they actually describe that many people will remember having the encounter with the Buddha the night of the Wesak, and that they will have the experience of the clear glass, and that it means they can clearly see what is beyond the individualized consciousness. So I want to say, whether we remember these things or not, it doesn't matter. It still happens to all of us. And so together, maybe you even had some dreams of the Buddha. Maybe you had a dream about some clean, clear, thin glass. You know, it's so interesting. Really interesting. Who knows how it all works? Who knows the big, big picture? I don't know it, but these little puzzle pieces hopefully help you too, as they help me too, because we are making sense of something that one cannot actually fully comprehend in this human body. So I'm going to share a little bit of the updates. And here we have the goddess Chamunda. If you have listened to these Green Tara Zoom calls ever since we started them about 5 years ago, I don't think we've ever mentioned Chamunda. And I do not mention anything that I haven't encountered or haven't interacted with in these higher realms. So today is the day for Chamunda. As a matter of fact, we will be invited to work with the invocation of Chamunda quite a bit these days on this ascension process. So as the divine self is activated within us, we can then, of course, move up and down the divine self structure, which is like an elevator of your consciousness. So you walking, you hiking, you meditating, and you always have the tower of your divine self with you. As long as we maintain it every day and seek that attunement through our alignment, I do it the same way every single day. And that is, the spine is part of the structure. The spine is part of this elevator. And that's why the most sacred, most powerful techniques in this world always include two things. One is love, which opens us up. Without love, one is a seed that is not exactly sprouting. But with love, one sprouts. So love is the first condition. And that is not exactly love for something, and even not love for the self, because I think love for the self is part of the illusion of the false matrix. There is no self to be loved. There is only one true self that is love. And so love is a condition for the divine self. It is the quality of the divine self. And the other process that we have when we align with the divine self is in the spine. And so it's the breath. And that is the elevating breath, making connection with the sun that is above our crown. And we go all the way up as far as our multidimensional spine goes. It is a process that I would compare to having a key and a keyhole, and they simply have to match. If my person down here in this world is the key, and my divine self with the spine is the keyhole, I simply need to find the keyhole. And once I have it, I unlock the mystery of the great self, the I am, the true God self. Every single one of us is designed exactly the same way. So when we have that, then once a day, it's a little bit like maintaining, your ability to stretch and to be flexible. It's exactly like that. If you don't stretch, you are not flexible. But if you stretch every day, you maintain your flexibility. If you connect with your divine self every day, you simply have that phone call always going on. And it is a bit of a phone call. So the connection is the key. As you have tried many different things in this world, and we all have tried as mystics so many different techniques, some are wonderful but not as powerful, and some are simply 100% reliable, and we can repeat again and again and again and again. And it's just a matter of time, nothing else. So let's say that we are practicing our alignment with the divine self, and we are using our love to open up, and that means I am all love. What else could I be if not all love? And ideally without an object, simply being that love. I am that love. From within, I am that love. That means I am my divine self. I am my I am presence. But then the next, it's a very practical technique. You inhale up the spine, beyond the crown, into the field of the light of your divine self. You make contact. And with your eyes closed, gazing into the third eye, you bring that light in. It's sweeping the chimney. Sweeping the chimney. That means the spine is open to the light of the divine self. The nervous system is open for the light of the divine self. And then you go about your day. And let's say connection is lost. Totally can happen and happens, especially in this world that is constantly pulling on our sleeves and pulling us out of the divine self. So then we just close our eyes again and say, you know what? I need a moment with my divine self again. And your divine self becomes so responsive. And eventually the divine self becomes who you are, your divine personality even. And that means within you is now the river of consciousness flowing. So let's say you go for a walk and you are taking the alignment with you. So now you, for example, have a question, and the question is, what is next for you on this path of ascension? And the divine self instantly gives you what people call a download, because it is instantaneous knowing. It's not thinking about it. Thinking about it or thinking about the future is not the divine self. The divine self is so eternal, it doesn't know past and future, but it is instantaneous all the time in every moment, always present, without going through the motion of time or without thinking about the future. The divine self does not plan, and so the divine self doesn't think. The divine self is. I am that I am. And so when the human being has a question, it doesn't come in terms of some kind of contemplation. It doesn't come in terms of some planning for the future. It's always presently giving you all that you are asking to know, always giving the fullness of itself. So our job is very, very simple. It is simply to constantly be available to receive and then have questions, because questions are good. In this ascension process, what is my purpose? In this ascension process, what missions can I fulfill? In this ascension process, how can I be of service? In this ascension process, what is needed of me now? And the divine self will 100% give you answers all the time as arising from within. So I just recently discovered a really powerful portal on this planet, and there are many, of course, and you guys have been through many of them. The one that I love so much is Sedona, and many of you have come to Sedona, of course, to meditate. I just discovered a portal that we call Joshua Tree National Park. Now, this was really interesting. I used to go there all the time to visit a friend actually who lived in 29 Palms, but I didn't have the knowing that I have now. I didn't have the connection with the divine self that I have now. So it just was a national park. It was just the desert. It was just the rocks. It was just the trees. Nothing like it is today. And so, for those of you who have been to the national park, I recommend going again. For those of you who have not been, I recommend going for the first time. And we even will be taking a group there in December. So I wanted to share with you a little bit what happened and how I received a lot of information about this upcoming ascension process. I will start with Yogananda. Yogananda as the great avatar. Yogananda as the emanation of Divine Father. Yogananda as truly the divine being who never got contaminated with unconsciousness in this world that was fully possessed by unconsciousness. Yogananda spent a lot of time in several places in the US where he established his sanctuaries. One of them is in Encinitas, where you have Yogananda's beautiful meditation gardens and hermitage. Again, some of you came with me there, and we experienced the magic. Then in LA, out of all the places, you still have the self-realization temples and also the Mother Center where you receive your initiations. And that was a place where I received my initiation with Kriya Yoga. And then at the end of Yogananda's life, he of course knew he was going to depart. He knew exactly when he was going to depart. He received instructions from Divine Mother. And he wanted to be in the desert. Very specific place in the desert. And for those of you who are familiar with the area, you also might be surprised, if you haven't heard it yet, that he chose to live and spend his last several years in 29 Palms. Now, I joke about it a little bit because these days when you go to 29 Palms, it doesn't like scream divinity at you. It's a place where you have a large military base for the Marine Corps. And so the place definitely doesn't seem to be sought after by people who are interested in meditation and divine work. But Yogananda found 29 Palms to be so powerful. And he even finished the autobiography of a yogi in 29 Palms. He bought a home, and as far as I know, no one actually will tell you where it is. It is still kept secret. And right now, it is only the monastics in his self-realization fellowship who are actually using that home. He purchased the home under a different name so that it could not be found, and he truly wanted to be away from everything to be able to focus on his divine work because he had a mission. His mission at the end of his life was to leave as many writings fully inspired through Christ consciousness. So these days, if you go to 29 Palms, you will not find his home. I tried, and not only tried, I tried, to work with the Self-Realization Fellowship to learn exactly of the location, but again, it's still kept secret. But there are there is a spiritual community dedicated to Yogananda. So there was certainly a reason for him to go to 29 Palms and to be so in love with it. Now, again, if you're familiar with Joshua Tree National Park, then you will know that it has several entrances, but the main one is in the town of Joshua Tree. It's a beautiful town. It definitely has a great vibe. So when you go and visit, that's definitely the place to go through to the park. So when I first went, it was like 2 weeks ago, I think, I was blown away by the energy of the park itself. I obviously was seeking divine connection, but what made it so powerful, and I apologize if you heard this before, but I just want to make sure that everybody knows this, is that within this very, very large, vast national park is no cell phone service, no Wi Fi, no electromagnetic fields, no 3G, no 5G, nothing that actually messes with your light body, with your aura, and with your physical body, with your consciousness, and with your electromagnetic field. As I've traveled this world, like many of you have, I have yet to find a place like that on this earth where, for so many miles into all directions, there is no interference. It's such a vast, I don't want to call it a park, it's a realm of its own, filled with these very fascinating trees that only exist as an expression of the earth in this region and not even everywhere in the park. So we were hiking first. That was our first visit, hiking and meditation, hiking and meditation. And so as I'm hiking and going up a mountain in the park, it's gorgeous. It has these indescribably giant rocks. And they are rocks that have this golden light emanation. But the tree, people call it Joshua's tree because somebody named it that way. It was some religious people who said that it reminded them of the prophet Joshua. Joshua. And, I didn't pay attention to the story until hiking up the mountain in the park. I just thought it'd be fun to touch the tree. Let's touch the tree. And the tree spoke. And because you don't have any interference of any technology, you don't have, a working cell phone on you, there is nothing interfering with your electromagnetic field. That is so unique. And so after a few hours in the park, you are a new you. You function at a different level. And so to me, this was like unbelievable clairaudience and being able to hear nature, not through imagination, not through some kind of inner visualization, but simply hear. So the tree started to speak and was offering kind of baptism and initiation by Christ consciousness. So I was truly blown away. And so, it was a big hike up the mountain, nobody around, which made it even more fascinating. Of course, there's not too many people there during the week. And the tree explained to me that these trees are truly filled with the highest level of Christ consciousness. Now, this really blew my mind. So I started to meditate with the tree to feel every single tree had the highest level you can possibly have and find in nature of Christ consciousness. So then it made me realize that the religious people who first named the tree, they most probably had the same experience. And so they referred to the tree as Joshua tree. It truly is Christ-filled consciousness tree. And so I renamed the tree and just to play a little game in the park and call it Krishna tree. Just because Christ is often associated with Jesus and we want to expand Christ consciousness to many more beings and to this energy that permeates us all. So we are all beings of Christ consciousness. But this was a container of Christ consciousness capable of magic. So next time when you go to, or if you have those trees around you, they are in very, very few places. And, nature is always an expression of the land and the cosmic energies upon it. It's always alchemical. So the land expresses herself through her own DNA. And that's why sometimes the DNA is contained to a very small area. Like in Sedona, if you've seen the most magical Um, again, never want to call it a city, but it is a city, town, place, sacred portal, Sedona. And so you see an expression of the earth is so unique again. And so this is the unique expression of the DNA of the earth as she receives the codes from cosmos. So that's why we have these very unique places. So when you go, you will receive baptism. And of course, when you open up to it, it's a relationship. And in a relationship, we agree to something. You can say, yes, I'm willing to receive this baptism, this initiation from this consciousness contained in this tree. This park, again, this realm that we call a national park, is so unique in many different ways. So, first of all, if a avatar walks upon the earth, avatar like Shiva, avatar like our beloved Divine Mother, whatever form she would take on, avatar as Yogananda, avatar as Swami Kaleshwar, when these avatars, Anandamayi, walk upon the earth, they leave a vibration behind that is inexhaustible. It cannot be diminished by anything and anyone. Their vibration is inexhaustibly available to everyone who comes to that sacred place. So I think about this when you go to this place that you can take your shoes off, you can stand and meditate upon a rock, and you will be uploading the vibration of the great Yogananda. And that alone, of course, is life-changing. That's why people go to sacred places. So the other thing about this beautiful realm that we call Joshua Tree National Park is that it is considered to be like a dark zone with no light pollution. So when you have no light pollution, you get to see the depth of this cosmos. You get to see the Big Dipper that we worked with recently, like nowhere else, or very rarely on this planet. So it has this incredible light beaming quality as well at night. And it was many people in our past have reported meeting with different beings from different galactic systems and star systems. But one group was actually encountered again and again and again, and it was the beings from Venus. That's actually super rare. Venetians don't often show up, but it is documented that it was a famous engineer. His last name was Van Tassel, who did meditations under a giant rock in this area. And he was every day met by the Venetians. And because he was an engineer, he had the ability to create whatever they asked him to. And they asked him to create this very, very unusual building. This building stands there till this day, and it is called Integraton. And it is the portal to Venus. It is also a building within which the Venetians said, if you are in it, you will be transmuted at a physical level, and the cells will be changed and transfigured to higher vibration. That's pretty incredible. And so again, like all these amazing treasures, it is really, it's Integraton, and his last name was Van Tessel. I can't remember his first name. So I've been inside the Integraton. These days, it is owned by 3 women, and it is still close to the giant rock. And they do sound bath, and it's booked out for many, many months. And again, I booked it for our group, and that could be you. We will be going there in December. And even in December, I was already fully booked out. So we will have a private experience of the Integraton. And I've experienced it myself in the past. It is absolutely out of this world. Nothing. Thank you, George. Okay, George Van Tassel. Thank you. And the Venetians instructed him in his meditations. They met every day with him, and he was able to construct the building without any nails. Imagine. And it's a huge building. It looks like an observatory, but it's a portal to Venus. Isn't that incredible? So, I'm setting the tone. Today is a little bit of storytelling here. How I received so much new information, and it's really because I spend time in the park. So, the information was simply, it was talking. Everything was talking. And you know, our light body, when our light body is attuned the way that we have attuned it to divine will, we have worked with so many layers of the light body. We've been working with our structure so much over the many years as mystics. So then when we are in pure nature without any disturbance that humanity normally introduces through technology, then of course we are constantly in communication and communion. So I was told by what I would call this consciousness of this realm within the park several things. Number one, and that is the reason why I was playing the song, is that Goddess Chamunda will be part of our next ascension stage. Now, again, I didn't know Chamunda, but we might have heard the chant that I was playing here, Om Aim Hrim Klim Chamundaya Viche. This is a chant of Goddess Chamunda. Goddess Chamunda, I was told, will be the one coming to the earth now during this ascension process. But of course, we can support her by chanting. And so if you feel like it, I put the chant here in the chat, and you can play it whenever you feel like it, when you're driving, when you cooking, when you're going to bed, when you wake up in the morning, whatever your flow is. Simply bringing her energy in. What I was told is that we are going through an ascension process that is so remarkable in cosmic terms. It is not limited to humanity, it is not limited to our planet, but it is a process of something so much bigger. This process really fully started last year on the 2nd of the 2nd. So it was February 2nd when the first impulse came for something that we call evil to be reintegrated into the oneness of all life. Now, in the past, we always had the battle between good and evil. We had these cosmic battles that have been going on for who knows how long in cosmos. And it was always because the evil was the result of a frequency that was out of balance. But all frequencies came from one supreme source. All frequencies. But we had a little musical glitch in creation in this cosmic cycle. And this musical glitch was creating beings that were what we would call evil, ill-intended, abusive, and so on, egocentric, centered in the false self and being a false self, being the beast. And so this reintegration took place for the first time as a cosmic impulse on 2nd of the 2nd in 2024. On that day, it was announced that on 11/11 last year, so 2024, we will experience the completion of evil and its source, which we often refer to as Satan, will be reintegrated into the oneness of all life. So, into the supreme source from which all music, from which all creation came. And that was completed. It has nothing to do with us. It was a cosmic occurrence, a little correction, but at the same time, a huge correction for a world like us. Because not all worlds became poisoned by evil. But our world, you would agree, did. So this all took place last year. Now, the beings that we would call evil, there are many different categories, and I made a video about them, so I don't want to go into the detail. But there were many different types of beings that we would say fell into the category of evil. And they were very self-centered, driven by desire, driven by greed, wanting power, and being very abusive and willing to abuse any part of life. So these beings created a system that we called then samsara. Samsara as the false matrix. False matrix because it was not the original divine creation. And I'm just going to have the picture here of Chamunda, the destroyer of evil, because she is next. So when these beings lost their source, they basically were like orphans left behind. Their source was reintegrated into the oneness of all life. And that's really important because, if you, for example, study these mystical traditions and if you studied the Bhagavad Gita, then you will know that the creator of all that is speaks about these beings quite a bit, and that even evil originated in the oneness of all life. So, in the oneness of all life now, their source is two. They have nothing else that can now give them power, but they were power hungry. They ran on power over life. They created a system called samsara, called the false matrix, because they wanted a piece of creation just for themselves. But they are not friends with each other even, and that is so important to know. These beings who came from that evil source are now left behind, but they too will need to be reintegrated into the oneness of all life. Isn't that fascinating? But because they in their own nature are very unfriendly, and that's just very, very mild description, then even among themselves, they do not create friendships. So they are, of course, the beings who would betray. They will betray each other. They will do all that they have done to humanity also to each other. They are still here. Absolutely. And now without the veil. They used to hide behind the veil, but there is no more hiding. The only thing that they still hide behind or can hide behind is the mask of a human body. I want you to know these things, even though for some people it's too much. For some people, they don't want to think about these things. But I say, how can you stand in the light victoriously if you don't know that there still is an enemy? So we have to come from love, knowing that all life is one, unless, and this is the case for some of these beings, they were artificially created. So then we are dealing with AI in a human body or in other body. And so then there is no spark. But that's a whole different category, but it also exists. Now, I met all these beings personally, and I cannot say that all, maybe there are some types of beings I haven't met, but this is not rare for the mystic. Swami Kalashwar, who was also traveling out of body, even went to these interdimensional spaces and he met with them and he described them very, very well. And he called them Rakshasa. So I believe that's the term that he used. So, yes, yes, yes. And so it's good. Thank you. So, Daria, you sharing that they came every night after our course with Divine Will. And I say that for that reason. We cannot be naive. If one is naive, we don't know how to deal with that which still is not here to be one with all life and doesn't want to be all love, doesn't want to be friendly. So that's why we need our spiritual tools. So our spiritual tool is our strength. And that means standing firmly in the light of God, in the love of God, but not to be naive. That doesn't give us the right strength. Yogananda was killed by them, but his guru brought him back to life. And that actually is in the second coming of Christ. But that was a different time. As you know, Yogananda ascended in 1952 from his physical body here on this planet. So it was a very different dynamics. We are luckily not in that time. But I just want to say the power that they use is all the power that the nefarious beings would use. But the great news is knowledge is power. Thank you, Isabel. So knowing all of this, these beings are running out of power. And you can see them here in the world, and they have one more remaining mask, just like you and me have, and it is the mask of the human body. So that mask is still here, and unless we get to know our divine self, we will not really know our true self. But once we get to know our true self, we will know who we truly are. And it's definitely not the person that we think we were. The same with these beings. Some of them are interdimensional, and some of them are here on the surface. And so the ones who are here on the surface, they can definitely take on a human form. Whether they are incarnated as that, that means they were birthed by a mother, and so they chose certain DNA to have darkness in them, just like you chose DNA that has light in it. We always choose our lineages, that they will serve us physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, whether we like it or not, but we choose them. But you will find, even if you had parents who were not loving, that surely in their DNA there was light in the generations before them. And you came and you said, I want these codes in me. These codes will really serve me. Could be love for nature. It could be whatever it is that we chose. But the beings that we would call evil, they too chose lineages with a lot of darkness and a lot of corruption and a lot of ego and all of it. So now, now we have these beings here in the human bodies or not, and they are losing power. It is a collapse of evil on planet Earth. It is actually the collapse already happened in cosmos. So now there are two options. We're going to do a lot of violet flame for the world, for humanity, for all the beings here, which we will do. And these beings might come to awakening, which is definitely wonderful. But there are also beings that are artificial in their nature, and even though they might still have a human body mask, I don't think that they can actually be awakened since they are not with a spark. But everyone with a spark, no matter how deep within it is, will eventually wake up. So, Goddess Chamunda, as a powerful aspect of Divine Mother, is our next ascension step. And I mean for humanity. She will be now, in this moment, entering this world to completely destroy all evil, whether it exists within a person, whether it exists within a being from other interdimensional spaces like the draconians or the lizards, the reptilians. She will destroy it all as energy. And the way that it was described to me is actually no longer the war of good and evil, but actually she will destroy it like disease is destroyed in a sick body, and the body is healed and the disease is gone. And now there is only health. So that's the way that she will be destroying it. It's actually quite incredible. So please invoke Goddess Chamunda. It's a very simple chant. Om Aim Hrim Klim Chamundaye Viche. So she's our best friend. She's gonna clean up this world. And again, this is not about us versus them. This is no longer a war between good and evil. This is actually a 100% healing process, healing every particle of life, every electron, every photon, every molecule, and healing it and bringing it to its original divine state of divine purity and divine perfection. So, this is just amazing. Just amazing. This is something that has never happened on this planet, and it never has been this successful, and it never, ever, ever came to this completion. In the past, it always was a war between good and evil, and guess what? Evil always won in the past. This planet originally was a planet of purity. Then she got overwhelmed by these beings, the Rakshasas, the beasts, the interdimensional beings who then also, I would say, attracted a lot of humans. And the humans then committed to being more demonic than beings of light. But they too will be restored, recovered, purified, and cut free. Patricia Cota Robles gave us the wonderful invocation, cut free, cut free, cut free, and purify, purify, purify all that is not of the light. And Isabel, that looks like a beautiful picture of Chamunda. Beautiful. You know, I don't like talking about these beings so much, but until we know, we don't know. And so after I met them the way that Yogananda met them. And then I thought, this is the most important thing ever. Because it's that energy which didn't want to be seen. The energy that pretended not to exist. So it seemed like this world is just some good people, some bad people, some really bad people, some really good people. But it was way beyond that. So Chamunda. This is the time of Chamunda. So every day we'll invoke her. Please join us. Empowering her in her mission. This is her mission. This is her mission of completely destroying all evil, whether it is energy that lives within a person, whether that energy took over the person. Again, some of these beings are our brothers and sisters, and some of them are definitely just instruments that are what we would call soulless. The way that I do it, I just played the chant, you know, like hear what I played, I'm gonna play it again and just sing along. that will be our chant. This morning I played a slower version. I found it on iMusic. So again, if you just search, these are cosmic sounds, and we all know that cosmic sounds open energies. They create pathways. For example, just alone chanting Om will create magic in our lives and in the life of everyone on this planet. And again, this call is not exactly about the chant, but I will go into the depth of it as we move through this ascension process. But just know that sounding these sounds, you are making a powerful phone call, and I will go into the depth of it soon. But you are invoking the goddess, the mother, in her form as Chamunda. And so, what I wanted to share here a little bit, obviously, let's say that the vast majority of beings, which actually is true, in this cosmic creation originated in the light of God. They do have a spark. And just like we now create AI and we create intelligent AI, there are beings that were created like that by the dark ones. But the dark ones originated in the light, but their AI is without the spark. So that's the difference. Just doing the processes we have done for all beings that are on this planet. We don't have to focus on spark, no spark. Everyone with a spark, please wake up. Please step into the light. Everyone with a spark, be purified by the divine light of God. Brothers and sisters, if you forgot, out there, if they got into the big ego game, if they become servants of the beast, wake up. The light is much more fun. So that's going to be our process here. So more information that I received, I wanted to share. So we are now in this very, very accelerated year. And again, our year is not exactly the same way that we measure it with our calendar, but I'm just going to refer to it as a year because we will go through big quantum leaps in this year. But the final, well, not the final, but the big one that I was told will happen will be again 1111. And so when nature spoke in the presence of the Krishna tree and many of them, I was told that on 11/11 this year, the earth will be returned to the hearts of love, to the hands of love. That's exactly what was said. 11/11 this year. As you know from what all we have done, 11/11 is not exactly to do with our calendar. It is a portal that opens in cosmos. There are pillars that look like number 11, and through these pillars, energy starts flowing before and after the calendar date we call 11/11. And on that portal, the earth will be returned to the hearts and hands of love. To me, that's all we need to know. And until then, we do everything we can to make this process easy. Every 11/11 since 2020 has been absolutely life-changing and different from anything before, as you know. The other thing that I was told is that on December 21st this year, which is again our solstice, whether it is summer or winter solstice, depending on our hemisphere, it will be again the final stamp on this process of returning the earth to the light. This is incredible. When I look at the world, and right now we might have different lenses of how we see the world, especially what's happening in the world that we call our politics. Whether we have a lens of liking it or the lens of disliking it, at this point it doesn't matter because it's not the systems that we have that will bring about the golden age. The golden age actually started, and it started just a few days ago. It started in our galaxy. It started in our universe, and there are many, 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 many rearrangements taking place right now. Again, when we use our divine self, we have the big picture antenna, so we can extend our consciousness at all times to be able to see what's going on in the galaxy and then to be able to experience what's going on in the cosmos. And it's instantaneous. So it's like having your eyes on the 11th floor of your being and constantly looking if you wish to. And then you see the changes that took place. And so this will be just a few more minutes, maybe 5 minutes. I'd like to share the most important news here. And that is that And you will hear it in the vlog with Patricia this week as well. It's been posted now on YouTube, and tomorrow Patricia will announce it in an email as always, that our small will, the will of what we call humans, now has been fully aligned with the true divine will, with the will of God. And as you know, many of you participated in our course Working with Divine Will, and it was a big quantum energy that I think was a big part of how this came about and how it is today confirmed with Patricia's video. So when I work on Patricia's vlogs, I get the script before the video is created. So I read the script. So I read it last night when I was working on the video. And when I read it, I was blown away. To me, this was like, whoa, we completed on 5/5. And yesterday on May 12th, it was confirmed in the script for today's video that the small human will, which was very often driven by the ego self, now and once for all has aligned with the will of the divine. So when you listen to the video, listen for that. And this is the big transformation. So the greatest news in this universe right now, because I'd like to give universal news, we cracked the code. And as we work together, you know, as a collective, and whether you participated or not, it takes two or more. And so about 400 of us participated daily in calling upon divine will, aligning with divine will, working with divine will, transmitting divine will, and look what happened. I don't have my phone here, but I took notes in the phone of what Patricia said, and maybe someone has it when she said it in those words, that now we are, I think she said, at long last, finally aligned with divine will. So again, this quantum power. Imagine 400 of us working with divine will. Next thing you know, that's all it takes. So that was the one big change. And at the level of the universal news, I wanted to, again, deliver some universal news. So when you now look at our galaxy, when you now look at our universe, that is a new arrangement. And this new arrangement, I don't think our galaxy has ever seen before. And that is, our galaxy is now permeated with the light of the grand central sun. Our galaxy is now fully a galaxy of the light. Our galaxy has been an evolution. Again, cannot put it in terms of human years. But our galaxy had some energies that we would call out of balance. And as of a few days ago, I think it was on May 3rd, May 4th, our galaxy was taken into the light, fully and completely into the light. So now this light is shining through our galaxy, and our galaxy is experiencing the universal sunrise. This sunrise can maybe take even, I don't know how many weeks, months, who knows, maybe it's eternal actually. We'll have to check in every day. And so this light is moving through our galaxy like a wave. And it's what the mystics always called the bliss wave. Our galaxy has been repaired, restored through many different missions and processes. And I call it our commander-in-chief. The commander-in-chief of our galaxy is now in charge of all these different rebuilding processes taking place in our galaxy. Now, for some people, they might say, I don't care about the galaxy, I just care about my little life down here. But I want to say, no life can be not affected by the galactic light, the universal light that is now moving through us and will cause major changes. It's good to expand our consciousness to this, thank you, because this light will even change this planet and will change the tectonic plates, will rearrange the planet for more light. It will rearrange our bodies for more light. It will rearrange our consciousness for pure light. And so the waves are coming. And these waves of light, I was told when I was watching it, this will be about rebuilding. This will be about restructuring. And the way that it was explained to me is that it will feel a little bit like Europe felt after World War II, which means there was so much rebuilding, so much clearing up, so much new. And this will be the new. We are rolling up our cosmic sleeves to rebuild, restore, restructure, and it will be all new, all of it. The political systems, I don't think we need them. We will have a different system. We will have a galactic system. We will have leadership. We will have ambassadors from the galaxy itself, from the universe itself. True leadership by the I am. I am. That's it. And finally, this is the last piece. This is the time to become the ambassador of goodness. In the past, it was good and evil, it was good and bad, and now it is goodness. So, in every interaction that you have with anyone, be an ambassador of goodness, kind energy, goodness energy, wonderful blessing energy, blessing all life with our goodness. And so it is. So, again, enjoy these big changes, allow these big energies move through you. Always work with your divine self, no matter what it is. I saw someone here posting about surgery. Even that, at the physical level, the divine self has ultimate power over all that we are. And so, thank you so much. And as always, may you be so very blessed. So, thank you.